Hello, and welcome back to the Wizards Respite Sanctorum, where we talk about all things TTRPG. Today, we are doing a deep dive onto the news again, and boy, is there some. Really excited to jump into this and start crunching through some of the crazy that's been hitting our favorite and, quite honestly, the best hobby in the world. My humble opinion in that. But as always, I am not alone. I'm here with my co-host and good pal Zachariah. Zach, how are you doing?
Hey, how you doing, buddy? It
Not
is
too bad.
it's crazy in my house right now. I barely made it. I'm covered in sweat, but I am happy to take the break to talk about gaming.
You know, the immortal words, life finds a way. It just doesn't always find an easy way, you know.
Amen to that. Amen to that.
um well, are you ready for some news?
Yeah.
I got some
So
news for you, man.
we're keeping to the format. It seems to be working good of the news on one episode and then a topic episode after 2 weeks and then back to the news. I really like this. So just letting everybody out there know who doesn't already know, although we've done it twice, so I don't know. I mean, I'm a walking disclaimer. I have been called that. So
Right.
disclaimer
But
up
it's good.
front.
It's good to let people know if they're just jumping in. This is their first episode. We don't do the news every single time.
No.
Uh, we let the news sort of build up a little bit, and then we kind of dive deep into it.
Yeah. I like that. So yeah, I'm ready.
Okay. So first article of the news, of course, we're gonna have to hit it, and I think this is the only one that dives into Wizards of the Coast. It's almost hard not to do a news show without talking about Wizards of the Coast for two reasons. One, they're the big boys in the group, like you can't get away from them. They are the big money makers. When they do something, everybody takes notice. And two, man, they make some decisions. They make
They
some
do.
decisions lately.
Some bad ones.
Yeah, and it's
What
like
is
I
it
don't
today?
want to put them in all the time, but I kind
Man,
of got.
it's the same thing with the video games. If I had a dollar bill for every time I talked about the Blizzard acquisition last year and the year before, it was like every episode. It just there's some companies, they got a company. I don't know.
Yeah. That's a that's it's kind of funny that you say it in that way because I actually do have two articles, unfortunately, for Wizards of the Coast, and the first one is a company hard because they are pushing hard on their employees to keep them from unionizing. Yeah. So that's the reaction I thought I'd get from you, Zach.
Man, I got a
Yeah.
lot to say on that already. Honestly.
So Magic the Gathering, there Wizards of the Coast has two major sort of sections. Magic of the Gathering and Dungeons and Dragons. Both of them are near and dear to our hearts, even if we are not like deep into Magic the Gathering. I'm not deep into Magic the Gathering. I love Magic the Gathering as just an outside guy looking in because it's an interesting game. I played it a few times. I couldn't really afford to get into it when I was a kid, and I've always wanted to. So there's always that like grass is greener on the other side kind of thing. I've always had this longing to be more into that world than I ever had an opportunity to. But and so this article the is coming from the Magic the Gathering section. They're really the ones that are sort of spearheading the unionization, although it is affecting all of Wizards of the Coast specifically. They put together a request to recognize a union. Wizards of the Coast completely ignored that request by the deadline set forth, which was a full month, by the union or the up and coming union. See specifically the they are actually also pushing for the National Labor Rights Relations Board to recognize the union, and for Wizards of the Coast to recognize that union. The next step is essentially the Wizards of the Coast. That was May. They did not abide this by May, so they are now moving to the next step. Now that we're in June, which is going to essentially unionize without the recognition. And if nothing is really solidified after that, we don't know what's going to happen. Essentially, the next big step is for them to come up with articles, put it forward, and start making demands. This is going to be where essentially they said, "Hey, let's talk it out in May. Let's have a conversation. We want to unionize." Wizards of the Coast was like, "I'm not answering the phone. I'm going to ghost you guys." The union is like, "Okay, time to get the knives out."
Yeah. Have you ever been in a union? Out of curiosity.
Yes, for like 6 months when I was 18.
Okay. All right. So not a ton of experience with it.
No.
Okay. So I am currently in a union. The WotC union. It was kind of a no-brainer. So just giving everybody a little backstory. I don't want to talk too long. I was never a union guy. This is kind of a political topic. I tend to avoid politics as much as possible, but I was never a union guy. I never liked unions. I tended to believe that they made it harder for normal workers to get good pay, and they also like tended to be corrupt. That being said, now that I'm in a union, I've kind of changed my opinion on that, which is weird to change my opinion so late in life. I don't know how it is for TTRPG guys. And TTRPG developers, TTRPG writers, TTRPG content creators. I don't know how nasty it is. But there's a lot, we have done a lot of talk of union in the video game side of the channel. And I'm sorry I keep going back to this, it seems like every time we're on here, but that's where a lot of my experience lies. And like I think there's
also
a lot of parallels.
Where Wizards of the Coast wants to go, kinda in some ways. So
exactly,
it is very relevant crossover.
And with the video game companies, they're extremely nasty to their employees. They make them work 80 to 100-hour crunches. These are like all day, every day, sleep in the bathroom sort of hours, or you get fired and then they lay them off anyway. There's tons of layoffs going on in gaming because nobody's protected. Now that I'm in a union, like I can see all the protection it gives the workers in a lot of ways. So like, also, regardless of whether you're a union person or not a union person, there's only one way to fight that level of abuse, and that's to unionize. That's it. That's it. There's no real other than go get a different job, but they'll just find somebody to replace you. Like the only real way to fight that level of like abuse is like unionization.
Right.
Which is one thing I said on the video game side, even when I wasn't a union guy, even before I was in the union, I would say, look, I'm not a huge union guy, but they have to do something because they're being abused. They're being like run out and they're not being listened to. That's kind of how you do it. And it's really the only way to like fight the power, so to speak. So yeah, on that side, I don't know if they need a union or not, like on the TTRPG side. I'm not privy to the information like I am for video games as to like crunch numbers and like hours worked and hours paid and amount of layoffs and amount of turnover and stuff like that. I don't follow TTRPGs enough to know that, but if there is heavy amounts of that, that's really their weapon. That's what they got. As far as on the logistical side, what they want to do is once the company recognizes the union, they will have to go to a table for negotiations of a contract. Unless the union is completely different there, But as far as my union is concerned, there is every 3 years a contract is negotiated between the school board and the employees and the union for our specific area. There's a contract for every specific area, even though the union extends, much wider than just Kent.
Okay.
But that union has representatives from that area. We have a few, and they go and they negotiate with the school board representatives to find the best contract, brought forth to the employees. And then once that contract, like all the parties at the table agree on it, the contract is then taken back to all the relevant members, and then those members cast a vote. If that vote is not leveled, they go back to the table and renegotiate, hopefully trying to find what their constituents want, basically. So it is now that I've seen it, it is it was a no-brainer to get into this union when I started becoming a bus driver, just because I wanted to get into it for protection, because there's a lot of liability when you're a school bus driver, and I want the protection of a union. I don't want to be just out in the cold if something happens, that was why I initially got into it. But now that I'm into it, I'm oh, I see, it really, I get to decide whether I'm okay with this contract or not. And we as a group get to decide whether we're okay with this contract or not. Does this suit us? This is not. And because of it, I know a lot of people complain about our job, but I think you'll find people who complain about a job at every job.
Right.
As far as I'm concerned, I have only worked non-union jobs before this. I've never had a job this good. Never. Sometimes I want to say this to the long-termers who bitch about the contract. I'm like, you don't understand. I worked in the restaurant. If you got a raise, it was small and you had to beg for it. This is a whole different ball game. I get basically a raise every year, period, forever. Even a small one, that's something. I never worked at a place that did that for me. You'd have to talk to somebody. You'd have to ask them. You know what I mean? It's a different kind of ball game. And I like that part of it. So what they're going to do at the table is they have to get the company to recognize the union. Once the company recognizes the union, then they have to sit down and negotiate a contract. And then from that point on, whatever the negotiation of the contract and the duration of the contract, basically it locks the company in to that period. And
right.
I think that's one of the reasons a lot of companies don't like it, because they want to just fire people willy-nilly. They want to just hire people willy-nilly. They want to not give people raises. They want to give other people raises. They want to give some people insurance and some people not insurance, which is bullshit.
They want control. They want to control.
Yes, and this does take control away. It is, don't get me wrong, it's not always great for the employees. Basically, all the employees will be locked into one thing. If you're this, you make this, and you get this, and you get this, and that's it for the next 3 years until we go back to the negotiating table. And if we negotiate for anything, everybody has to be in agreement that your stuff needs to get negotiated for. I think that this last contract negotiations we did, we got a significant raise for the mechanics. The mechanics were making what some of the custodial workers were making. And they keep the buses on the road, and they also drive buses when we don't have enough drivers. They also work year round, unlike the bus drivers. That's insane to me. So that was one of those things where everybody was in agreement. They should make more money, but it's a collective. You become part of a collective. And so some employees don't like that, I know
right.
that in certain situations, I don't want to be part of a collective. I want to be a free, a lone wolf. But the problem is a lone wolf doesn't have the protections of the pack. You know what I mean?
Right. Yeah.
So
yeah.
Those are all my
very
thoughts.
limited. My very limited experience with, I guess it was a little bit longer than 6 months. My very limited experience with the union was actually very randomly AFTRA. And I can't remember exactly what it stands for, but it's for actors. I was a background actor. So literally a blur on the set of cheesy TV shows from the WB, if anybody's out there that can remember the WB before it became the CW.
I'm scrubbing those WBs to try and find you now.
Yeah, it was the big one. The biggest name show I was on was Veronica Mars.
Oh, okay.
And I was a blur in the background, walking around. I was a college kid, and I was playing a college kid. So that was my claim, my 5 minutes of fame up until now. Now that I'm doing this podcast,
yeah, we're definitely bigger than Veronica Mars.
You hear
that, Kristen Bell? We're coming for you.
Yeah, that's right. She bumped into me once, by the way, on that set. It was the highlights of my entire acting career.
Kristen Bell accidentally tripped over me.
She did. She touched my shoulder and said, "I'm sorry." Yeah, that's right.
Oh, that's great.
Hard out on that.
Yeah.
But that was actually really fantastic, and it gave me a weird picture. It was fantastic for the background actors because let's face it, we were background actors. Mm-hmm. We like most of this, almost every scene that I've seen. If you really scrub it, you can actually see my face in some of this. Very young me. But almost every other scene is you cannot see me. I am literally a blur. And I still got paid fairly well because of this.
Yep.
I got food. They give you food.
Oh yeah.
You know, on set
I get a coat
because of this.
I get a coat once every 3 years that says Kansas City Schools. It was a Carhartt coat I got this year. Once every 3 years we get a coat. Yeah, like there's a lot of stuff you get out of those contracts. There is. No joke. They're no joke. But
at the same time,
yeah, go ahead.
I've also heard, I also saw the production company was sort of hemorrhaging money on certain things that wasn't honestly really fair to the production company. To be honest, if I'm being 100% honest, it just wasn't. And so there is leverage to take advantage in not great ways also. Yes. And if I'm just being 100% fair and honest here, that being said, it's also like a tug of war, who's going to be fair and not fair,
somewhere along the line, everybody forgot what compromise is, which is everybody feeling like they lost. It's not everybody feels like they win. It's everybody feels like they lost. My wife said this. It's a great quote. She's like, if you come away from the negotiating table and anybody feels like they won, somebody got screwed. Like everybody should be feeling like they didn't get everything they wanted, because that's a good negotiation. That's the whole point of compromise. And look, there's downsides to unions. I'm not going to say there isn't, but at the same time, when other people in my union complain about the contract, I'm like, hey man, we can't have everything. If we have everything, then they don't have anything. It's just not how it works. And I think everybody on the planet now just well, we should just have everything because that's the right thing. That's not the right thing. The right thing is everybody gets half of what they should get. And that's good. That's good numbers. That's good numbers. Yeah. Everyone should be okay with that.
Yeah. And, back to the Wizards of the Coast. Mm-hmm. Nothing I read was super clear on a ton of specifics. There were general specifics. AI was a big one. They want protections against AI because they're creative workers.
Yep.
There's also, rotating through freelancers and not giving jobs to people who are actually employed at the company was another concern. Let's see, longevity of workers there, pay, wages, all of the usual stuff that you'd see from a company. And I'll be honest, as far as how badly or good they are treated, I couldn't really get a solid glimpse on this. I do feel, though, my gut is telling me probably not great considering the track record this company's been having.
Right. I think
it's gut, but
I think it's something worth pointing out too that I gotta give it to those people, because when you go to unionize, you have to have so many signatures of people who are willing to say I want to unionize on a piece of paper. Like, I don't remember how much it
Right.
is, but like that's how a union gets started in the first place. Is like you have to have a majority of the people signing up for this union. And I'm gonna tell
Yeah.
you, I've seen it in gaming a lot because the union doesn't exist. A lot of times, the company will just fire all the people who signed that petition, and that'll be that. Like, so like for them to do that, even there has to be something going on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because usually like you're not stupid.
Right.
You're basically giving the middle finger to your employer when you sign that, so like there has to
Yeah.
be a reason for you to give that middle finger, I guess.
Yeah. 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 Exactly. And uh, so that's interesting. Again, Wizards of the Coast has been pushing against that. They've been apparently sending out a lot of letters saying, don't unionize. So we'll see where that ends up going. This month is going to be the next big step, and we'll see what ends up happening after this. I think everybody in going to be keeping an eye on it. Wizards of the Coast has not been getting great publicity lately, so I think that is definitely going to be a factor in how they end up handling this. Um, but we will. I definitely want to keep one eye on this and see where it ends up going. Next, are you ready for the next article?
Yeah,
Move on to
definitely.
the next one. Okay, so this is again kind of a political one, but it's going to be hitting one of those things where like we live in an era that politics kind of
It's
affects
hard
all things, including.
hard not to talk about it.
It's hard. It's hard not to. It is affecting aspects of the hobby, even
It's
if we're
truly
focused on the
difficult.
hobby. It is, and that is Gen Con, which is the gaming con that really focuses on board games and tabletop role playing games specifically. Um, is basically getting a decrease in publishers abroad who will be attending them as the result of policies being made by the US government. Lots of, and not just little publishers. We have actually Magpie Games in here, which is one of the biggest
Yeah,
third party
Magpie's
game.
huge. Yeah.
Yeah,
I even know who
they're
they
not
are.
going to be attending. Um, yeah. They're not going to be attending. They're going to have many of their individuals who work for them abroad not coming to Gen Con because of concerns revolving around deportation and other I said like trans rights, gay rights. Have been
Mm-hmm.
cited multiple times by multiple people from that company, as well as a lot of other companies. I even saw. Uh, I do not know how to pronounce his name. Honestly, I could even be pronouncing his first name wrong. John. He's Swedish, so it might be Johan.
Johan.
Nor.
Okay.
Yeah. Nor. Basically, one of the co-creators of Morkborg is not going to be
That's
attending.
huge.
He's from Sweden. Let's see, Samantha Webb. This one's actually a little bit of a newer one for me. I haven't really dove into Modifius Publishing. It's a UK-based RPG. They actually handle though Star Trek Adventures
Oh,
and the
okay.
Dune Adventures
Oh,
games, as
Motifi.
well as
Yeah, they do Fallout too, I think.
yes,
Yeah,
which
yeah.
are all like great IPs.
Interesting systems. Really interesting. We had a Star Trek actual play before I really partnered with you yet. I think went for
Yeah,
like 9 episodes, and so I got to I have that system on my in my Google Play. I have the book for Star Trek Adventures, and it is
oh cool.
it's really interesting. It's like 2D20, which I love D20s, so good start.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's really interesting. So, sorry, that was a digression. Keep going.
No, well, I mean, there's several others on there, but that's kind of like the big strokes of it. Gen Con's getting basically a smaller roster because of U.S. Decisions that are being made. To be honest, I cannot 100%. This is so tricky. There's so many different ways of looking at this. On one side, I cannot legitimately confirm myself through anything that I've read that anybody coming from these publishing companies is going to be seriously at risk of anything by entering the US. That being said, they may be having issues and sort of doing this as a matter of
I'd be real nervous. I'd be looking at any of the stuff that ICE does and be real nervous to come into this fucking country for any period of time. I mean, they've showed up in Kent and just like rousted people for no apparent reason. Like,
true.
And hell, they kill people in the streets and just call it a day,
That's
and
true.
nobody goes after them. Look, I don't like to get political on this show because whatever you believe, I feel like your enjoyment of this show shouldn't necessarily be taken away from by that. But I think we assholes right now, and I don't think anybody wants to come into the asshole country. Like, it's just that simple. Like,
And that's exactly what I was gonna say.
I
Max.
wouldn't come here if I was from Britain. I wouldn't come here. No fucking way. I wouldn't come here.
There's a lot of decisions that the U.S. has made that, like, boycotting the U.S. might make a lot of sense for a lot of people because of their political and ethical, moral stances on a lot of things that the U.S. has been doing.
I had 2 British people that I talked to from video games, from the video game channel, just that I had met and talked to. They think everybody over here has a gun. Everybody. And I can't necessarily disagree with them. I have 3 guns in that safe right there. I just want to tell everybody right now, they're triple locked, and to try to get to them to actually kill somebody would be an hour-long endeavor. So, like, they're not for defense. I like to target shoot. And one of them was a hand-me-down from my dad. But yeah, I got 3 fucking guns, and I'm the most peaceful guy you know. Like, it is kind of crazy. Like, I think if I was looking at the news of America, I'd be like, I'm not going to go to an active war zone. Like, that's just not going to happen. They're shooting each other over there. No, thank you. I mean, and these are places that aren't necessarily not battling, you know, their own political issues right now as well. So, like the UK is not having a good time either. So, like, it's kind of...
Sweden's had some pretty rough years in years past too.
Yeah, they're all having very bad political times in general. So, like, I don't know. Like, I completely respect their decision to not come here. You know, like, and I respect their fear as well. Like, it's a weird place.
Yeah. I'm always in the situation where personally my political, like, position is always
it's hard to talk
like
about.
I think there's a podcast I listen to that refer to it as the political orphan. I take a very nuanced approach to everything, and so any particular issue needs, like, if I'm going to talk about it, ends up becoming a very deep conversation about the various factors that are at play, because there's always a lot.
Both sides. You're almost
arguing both sides, or looking at individual aspects of each, like, dive. You know,
I feel the same way in a lot of ways.
It becomes challenging to dive into any one particular topic because it's easier to sum it all up as our immigration issue is like a madhouse in the U.S. And in many situations, it is. In other situations, there are other things going on that are relatively decent arguments.
Yeah.
But,
I think, though, that, like, if you were looking outside in.
Oh, yeah.
Like, you're going to be like, I don't want to try. You know what I mean? Like even if it's completely safe and they've got it wrong. You know what I mean? Like,
oh, yeah.
It would be like taking a trip to Iran right now. Like, you're just not going to do it. Like, I don't... like, you're not going to do it. It's not... I don't want to go there. Like, I'll stay here where I'm not going to get bombed. Like, that's just... Like, I think just from a personal standpoint, I get why they wouldn't want to come here, why they wouldn't want to enter the state, why they wouldn't want to be in that situation.
there's no reason for them to come here. I mean, like, let's face it. If they're coming here, they're going to a con where they're trying to pitch their game.
Yeah.
And we're looking at a political situation where they're like, you know what? I don't want to mess with this crap.
Yeah.
You don't want to mess with this crap. I don't blame you. Like, you're a human being. You have your own crap to deal with. You have your own country to deal with. You have your own life to deal with. Like, I don't blame you for not doing that. If you're not thinking that this convention for fun games is worth it, then I get it. Don't do it. If it's not worth it to you, you have a lot to scale.
And I think America itself has to really decide what it wants to be and what it wants to show to the world, because for the last 100+ years, we've been a place where people are supposed to come to show off their stuff. Like, that's what we are. Like, the biggest video game people come here to show their stuff. The biggest TTRPG people come here to show their stuff. The biggest movie people come here to show your stuff. Well, if you're not going to make the feeling friendly anymore, people are not going to come here anymore. And that's going to hurt us as a whole, because that's something that, good or bad, that we've relied on in the past. Like, if we want to be the leading, like, hey, this is the place where you come to make your things happen, then we need to be at least a little bit more open than we've been. And that's a huge problem, because right now, this country is collectively saying no to everybody. Like, whether they want to or not, that's what they're saying. And forgive me, I'm not going to get upset at these people for listening.
Yeah. And, just one extra side note to add upon that is, political, unrest in the U.S. aside, we also have a huge situation with tariffs. And that hit us hard. The industry hard.
Yes, exactly.
Over the last several years.
Which is another reason. Else. Yeah, exactly.
There's instability.
Exactly.
There's instability, and it might be a better idea to be like, okay, do I really want to invest in this, or do I need to really sit down, pinch my pennies, and think about what my best next option as a publishing company is going to be? Because I don't know that I can trust the American market with the tariff situation.
Exactly. And that's one of the big exactly. Like, I think all of these companies that are abroad are redefining where their audience is going to come from in a lot of ways. Yeah. And
now, I don't think the American audience is done, but at the same time, they're got to be looking at it and say, like, okay, can I diversify? Because maybe I kind of got to.
Yeah.
Because I don't know that I can make the money that I need off of the U.S. anymore.
Exactly.
Maybe I need to go to South America, because they actually have a thriving RPG landscape down there.
Well, I didn't know that, but yeah, like anywhere other than here. Or Japan.
Yeah. That's another one I didn't know about until recently. We did an article about that, I think, the last news story.
Yeah,
holy crap.
The problem is if you want stuff to come in, you've got to open the gates. And the problem is you can't always decide what comes through the gates. And so, like, that's the risk you take. And, like, we have to decide, do we want those gates closed or do we want those gates open? Because we don't get to have it halfway. And, like, I think any abroad company is within their rights to be like, those gates are closed, we're not going there,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, that's an interesting one. Got a couple of heavy hitters on this one, man. We already hit some heavy,
you're really forcing me into a corner. We avoid topics like this like a plague on the video game one.
I know. It's just one of those things. Like, those are the big ones that everyone's talking about right now. Yeah.
I'm one of those guys too. I feel like if we were all talking about our politics and our religion less and just talking about nerd stuff, we'd just be happier. Like,
well, then, you know what? Let's talk about some nerd stuff.
Okay, all right, that's fine. I'm not trying to dictate your show, man. I was just saying, like, that's one of the reasons I kind of avoid it. I avoid it with everybody.
I'm kind of with you on that one. I do too. I think a lot of people in real life really do, honestly. And I'm very fine with focusing more on the game stuff. In fact, actually, I have most of my articles on here that I've been looking at are focused on more fun or nerdy stuff.
We're 34 minutes in, so if you want to get fun and nerdy, now's the time.
It is. And, I mentioned that I had one particular article that I wanted to conclude with, but I have several articles that are actually pretty good. And I think we got room for maybe two more articles. So
Okay,
I got two Happy Day articles
let's
to
do it.
throw at us. Happy RPG
Total
happiness
turkeys.
here. You know what? This one is kind of a mixed bag. There's actually a couple of good articles that I'm not gonna be able to hit everything today, but this one is a mixed bag. So there's a little bit of like, you know, oh, that's too bad, but also, okay, somebody came in and saved the day a little bit. There was a website called Series Seeker. Have you ever heard of it?
No.
It's for a podcast, actual play podcasts. It was
Cool.
a big database that would collect actual play podcasts so that people could go there if they wanted to look for games that are being played and listen to them, and you know, it's actual plays is a big part of the community now. And unfortunately, it kind of went under.
Oh.
Series Seeker collapsed. I couldn't really find what exactly happened.
You promised it would
Um,
be happier.
I got a silver lining here. Um, I think what happened, and this is pure speculation, but because I haven't been able to get a lot of information, and just judging from how this game system or how this website was run, I think it was run by one guy or a couple of people, and their license for the domain lapsed. It happened to me once with the Wizard's Respite. When it happens, you don't have a lot of time to collect that domain before it's scooped up by somebody else, and that somebody else could then hold that domain ransom for thousands of dollars.
I gotcha.
I don't know that happened. I want to make that clear, but they lost the
Suspicion.
domain. Exactly. So all of this content was lost until we have a hero step in, hitting it hard with the Wayback Machine, and let me make sure that I get her name. Scraping all of the content that was there.
Wow.
And Monteverdi. I'm going to go with that pronunciation.
All right.
And Monteverdi.
All right.
Comes in and scrapes everything with a Wayback Machine, and then starts parsing through it. She had some help with a man named Jamie Howard to help like pick out data that really was copyright infringement. They couldn't keep it in the system.
Okay.
And went through and reorganized everything into something that people can download easily and hold on to. And I want to make sure that I'll make sure that I get the database to you so that people can find it if they want. But they have a database now where people can go back and look at all of these podcasts. And the reason why she did it was said, like, this is an important part of the hobby, important part of the hobby's history, a hobby that is growing. And someday people are going to want to look back at this stuff and see it and be able to find it and listen to these things. I also find these actual plays to be great for learning games. You know, if you don't have access to somebody to teach you this game, this is a great place to sit down and listen to it being played, listen to how the rules are, listen to a couple of these things. This is great for the hobby. And I just wanted to shout out this because Anne Matavardi and Jamie Howard really did a service for the community, I think.
Yeah, I think so too. I think there's not a whole lot to say about this. I think that, like, this is awesome. I think this hobby too is going through a boom period because of actual plays, directly related to, like, Critical Role, Nerd Poker. You know, so many of them out there that have just like, hey, let's record this, put this out there, and then people started to listen, and those people started to play, and like, I think like actual plays is. I would say actual plays are like bread and butter. Like it's not keeping it alive, but like the boom period, the growth period, like it's an absolute necessity.
Sure.
You know, like an organ of the whole. You know, that the whole was kind of missing before. You know, and I think that, like, it's one of the coolest things. I've said it before, like I wish this stuff had existed when I was a kid and playing these, because the only thing that like it missed, in my opinion, was like the ability to like show anyone what you were doing.
Yeah.
You're creating these stories, these in the moment improv stories that no one was ever going to see or witness, and now we have that to the point where like I don't, with the exception of one game, I don't think I run any games that like aren't posted on the internet. Like even if only 2 people watch it, like just the fact that it's there and like that story exists somewhere for people to go and look up. I think that it's such an important part of the hobby now that's great. That's absolutely great.
I agree. I think it is. And I just, one thing for context and perspective, if you look back at the history of the hobby, which isn't really as old as people think, if you're really looking at role-playing specifically games, in the 90s, Dungeons and Dragons got a huge amount of their money, TSR, and the late 80s, TSR got a huge amount of their money from novelization of their content. Mm-hmm. It was an entertainment that an individual could consume and get an introduction to the world and the setting. That is the medium that was available at the time. And today, we have the internet, we have podcasts. This is a medium and I think that I've often said that, I think that instead of going gamification or video game, D&D should have put more into the entertainment section as opposed to a video game section, because it does bring in people. It makes them familiar with the setting and like touches something in their heart that they want to hold on to and play and go for.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what these podcasts do. It kind of makes these stories that are live with you,
Yeah.
They stick out in your mind and you just love them. And so I'm really glad that they saved this, and I'm hoping to see something more come out of this database. Maybe they can restart it, the website again, and get it going under a different name. But we'll see. We'll see. And so there's that. And then final article that I wanted to jump into. This one is really, so this one makes me very, very happy. I started the Wizard's Respite, focusing on RPGs. I want to say, actually, I believe it was around 2021, maybe 2022. The COVID stuff was going on, obviously. Mm-hmm. And I started ramping it up into that area. Around the time I really started getting it going, another content creator started their own shop selling TTRPG books online. And they were really doing a lot of old books. I think they started it off with a huge collection they personally had, but then they would go out to like estate sales, bookstores, everything, and collect stuff so that they could sell specifically older content and content online.
I need that website yesterday.
It is. Let me see.
There's so many games that I want to add back into my collection that I don't have anymore, that I don't want to have in PDF version. That place sounds like the perfect place for it.
Tabletop Bookshelf.
I'm writing that down. I'm actually writing that down.
Tabletop Bookshelf. They put out. You can go in there and find books and all kinds of like actual physical content that you can get. And I started seeing them, and I loved what they were doing. I thought it was fantastic. I was really in support of that company, and that it was a guy that was just doing it. Just like me, I was just a guy that started writing the blogs. He was a guy that just started this shop online. They are now making a brick and mortar indie RPG bookstore that they can set up shop and people can come to.
Wow, that's awesome. Where is it? Where's it going to be?
It is. Let me double check. Milwaukee. It is in Milwaukee.
Oh, that's not too far. I was hoping for Midwest, at least.
Yeah. Maybe
Milwaukee. No one's gonna
um,
get that. No one's gonna get that. I. That's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. We need more brick and mortar things. And I'm gonna tell you right now. Amazon's an evil company. I know it, but I'm a huge Amazon shopper. I think everybody in the world is kind of a huge Amazon shopper. You get on that Prime and you don't pay for shipping, and then you get pissed when it doesn't come to you in like 2.5 hours somehow. But they're not great for old game books. They really aren't. Like, finding old game books on there is nearly impossible, and that is a huge bummer. I need a place where I can find old. I want to get Fate, because I've fallen in love with the system since I read that Fudge edition for the game we were doing coming up. And I want to get the Warhammer Medieval Role-Playing System. I loved that game. It is still the best swords and sorcery system that I ever played when I was younger. I worshipped it. I love the fact that you started as like a fucking fisherman and you ended up as like the high knight badass. Like, I loved that game. But my copy spent too long in a basement and molded. So it was unreadable and had to be thrown out. And I have not found another copy. Like, I haven't found another copy anywhere. It's a very rare book to find. There's a PDF version, of course, but I want it. I want that in my collection again. So I will definitely check that out, without a doubt.
I love this one. There's a reason why I wanted to finish with this one. I talked to the guy a couple of times online when he first started, telling him how much I loved what he was doing, and he had even mentioned way back then he wanted to have a brick and mortar someday. That was his goal. I'm so happy for him that he got his goal. Like, this was just, and he was always, every time I saw anything he posted, every time I saw anything he, as the owner talked about, he always seemed like such a positive guy doing great things for the hobby. And I just wanted to shout that out there. That really made my news consumption day, if you will.
That's awesome. Tabletopbookshelf.com.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yes.
That's absolutely awesome. Congratulations.
That is what I got for the news today, Zach.
That's perfect. We're just about at 50 minutes. So that's absolutely perfect.
I think and I think we got some good ones. We got some heavy hitters. We got a couple of happier ones.
Yeah. The heavy hitters were heavy hitters for sure, man.
They were. Before we start jumping out of here today, is there anything you want to shout out to the universe?
Yeah. Well, this won't go up for 2 weeks, so 2 episodes will already be out. But Ordo Scriptorium, the third official hunt, not an in-between, called Amor Mortel, is out. If you're listening to this, it has been out for 2 weeks. I'm very proud of the content. I did some little openings that the players don't even know about. And yeah, I'm very proud of this game. I think that, like, as far as Scriptorium goes, like, we really got deep on some stuff on that one. And I felt like it was, I don't know. I was really proud of it. I hope that I followed up Wiz's wonderful first 2 well, but like, it's hard too when you.
Yeah, that was one thing I wanted to make sure everybody knew. The first 2 seasons, I was the GM. Mm-hmm. The next season, Zach is the GM. I get to play as a player. Very excited about that myself. Also, I'm playing on there. The rest of the cast is still there. Really fun game. I highly recommend everybody watching. This was such a fun and interesting game to play. We hit the investigation noir tone hard, and I loved it. I loved the game.
I really appreciate it. I think that there was definitely some silliness in this, but we had to like up it too, and it's so hard to, like, when you have 2 great kind of like 2 great, I don't want to say campaigns because they weren't campaigns, but you know what I mean, like 2 great adventures to set it up. Yeah. And then you got to do a third one. You got to like heighten it, but they're not even your characters. So you have to make some like really interesting choices. I was very afraid Wiz was gonna like be like we would end and Wiz was like, I need to talk to you for a second. What are you doing with these guys, man? Like I was very afraid that I would get the talking to on some of my character choices.
I'll say oh, you know what? I don't want to go too deep into spoilers.
Yeah.
I don't want to. I was about to go into some stuff. I was about to go into some stuff. I need to keep my mouth shut. I have a bad habit of doing that. Button it. But yes, go watch that, guys. That's a great plug. Anything else, Zach?
No. As far as TTRPGs, that's it. We probably have some Dual Bastard Season 2 coming soon. We're recording the last couple of episodes of that. Should be a doozy. And then there's another actual play in the works where I'm playing, but I don't want to announce it until we at least get a session 0 going and a couple of episodes in there, because you never know what could fall apart. But on the TTRPG side, in addition to this, actual plays are back and in a big way, so hopefully we can keep them going for at least the next several months.
Right. All right. For me, as always, is promoting the wizardsrespite.com. We are selling merch there. You can see some of that here. We also dive into all things TTRPG there. A few other things as well, fantasy, and articles that just explore gaming and this kind of stuff. All of these shows can be seen there. The Ordo Scriptorum can be seen there, as well as the Ordo Scriptorum game book is sold there. So please check it out. And looking forward to hearing everybody their thoughts on that game. That's pretty much it for today's show. Everybody out there, I hope everybody's having a good time. Everybody stay safe and keep rolling them dice.
This website's awesome.